So what's up, Mark? How have you been?
I've been pretty good. Been busy.
I've been pretty good. I've been busy. I've been pretty good. Your voice has changed a little bit. You sound more relaxed.
Definitely more relaxed.
Can I have you stand behind the camera so my eye line works?
No.
Can I have you
no.
like it's an audition?
Even the old episodes, I was always sitting to the side.
He's killing me now. Now I got to work harder. I'm still choking on that gummy. When's the last time we did an episode?
Man, I think it probably would have been September.
Wow. Why is it when you start a podcast and you start recording, things start to go wrong in your breathing system? Whether it's coughing or your nose gets sniffly. Is it only me, or does it seem like it's a common thing with people who podcast?
You said that and my mouth went a little dry and I was like,
what is that?
It's like every time like you had to do something important, like with sports, you are like, I just peed and now I have to pee again.
Sometimes I get the pees before I go on stage.
Oh,
if I'm waiting to go on stage.
If I was a stand-up, I know I would get the pees all the fucking time.
You also would have quit by now.
Oh, 100%.
I'm kidding. Maybe not.
No, I would have quit.
And you're still in the same place?
Yep. Still same studio, still same place.
With your dog? You have a dog now?
We have a dog now. So that, I think, was that the last time we did a pod?
No, I knew you were going back and forth with the dog.
Was the dog here?
Yeah, I had.
But did we shoot that day?
No, the dog wasn't here, but you had the dog, and you were going through dog stuff. You weren't sure you could keep the dog.
We might have been August. We might be like 10 months without a podcast.
It was definitely like because I was like gearing up, where I was like, I'm just gonna worry about shooting this special.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then I think I've like done like a solo one-off here and there. But like, yeah, we haven't had a therapeutic session.
Yeah, I saw you were doing stuff with Fahim, doing those like interviews.
There was just one episode.
It was just one episode.
And I just chopped it. Yeah, I made a bunch of clips because he did a little character, his Lance character. And I was like, well, we could say whatever we want and hide behind the character. So like, let's go deep and let's see how they do. And a couple of them went viral. And I think he's going to start doing more Lance stuff. So that's fun. Yeah.
So last time you released a special. Since last time you've released a special.
Yeah, since before that.
Oh yeah. Well, no.
Because the special got released.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Since the last time we did an episode.
Yeah.
You shot a special.
Yeah.
And released it.
Yeah. And released it.
Yeah.
And dropped about 11 pounds. And dated a couple different women. And purchased plants for my apartment. Really kind of went on some journeys, therapeutic journeys, spiritual journeys, not gay ones, but regular ones. Very content with where I am in life. Happy. Am I? What's up with you? Are we gonna finally get are you gonna take the next step in your relationship?
What's that?
You know what it means.
Get a divorce?
Yes. Are you going to get a divorce?
No.
You would never get a divorce because for you to get a divorce, it would mean she wants a divorce. It would never come from you because you need someone there and your life would crumble if you didn't have your wife. No, you know what's funny
is I'd argue that it's probably the opposite.
Nope.
Where, no, she loves that she has me there. But yeah, the divorce would probably have to come from her unless it was something egregious and I'd be like, that's it.
Which she could sleep with 3.5 black guys and Mexicans and you still wouldn't divorce her. I don't know why I threw in Mexican, so it was less racist. If I just said 3.5 black
because you
men,
said half.
If I said, because the Mexican's kind of short. So,
yeah.
Or there's like Steph Curry was one of them. So let me ask you, are you thinking about kids? Because that's
what's funny is less now that I have the dog.
Well, Mark, she's not getting any younger.
Yeah, we're still good though.
Does she want to have kids?
She's on the fence.
Do you guys wear protection when you have sex?
Half and half.
Whoa. The fact that, how long have you guys been married?
7 years.
You took a beat, like you still wear,
Oh.
like you'll wear a condom with your wife?
Because she does no birth control.
So what, man? Do you know how hard it is to
man.
get someone
Yes,
pregnant?
Totally aware of that fact.
Do you know how
But
hard
also,
it is?
not trying to have a kid right now.
Yeah, you just fucking pull it out. Jerk off on our stomach. What are we doing here, dude? I think you're the first person I have ever met that wears a condom in a marriage. He wears a condom in the marriage. That's crazy. Here we got our first clip, guys. That is crazy. You wear a condom and you're married because you don't want to get her pregnant. But still, most of us, would you agree? Most of us are like, I mean, even me, when I'm not using a condom and I'm regularly sleeping with someone, not even a girlfriend, just a regular Larry person.
I thought you were saying regular Larry for a second.
A regular Larry.
Yeah.
I'm still, and I've never had a call or a scare.
You never had a scare?
Never had a scare.
Does that
man.
worry you that you like, because you want to have kids?
I think it does. I don't know if I want to have kids, but I think it doesn't work. Yeah. I'm at that point where I'm like, maybe I should.
You're like, maybe I should have had a scare by now.
I should have had a scare by now. But the fact that you wear so that's crazy. Like, I mean, isn't it like 3 days where you can maybe get pregnant?
Man, I know so many accidents.
I don't know.
I know so many accidents.
Bro, I mean, come on, dude. I mean, just come on, man.
No.
That's crazy. So is it you or her?
It's her. It's her.
Oh, so she doesn't really love you.
Yeah, sure. Fine.
Wow. So here's what has gone on over the few months, maybe even the last 6 months. Sometimes I go back and forth with Los Angeles and I go, is there a better place for me?
Oh no, you're moving to Austin.
No. I wouldn't go to Austin. I'm not welcome there, so I know not to go there.
Really?
I mean, if you're not going to be working the club, then why would you go there? You know what I mean? It's not like that's the only thing there. It's like you have the mothership, and then you don't have really. You have a bunch of whatever. Like you have a bunch of B rooms. So a B room for people listening would be like not one of the main clubs where you see your typical celebrity comic going up, right? Yeah. Where more of a workout room. Who's that? Jen? If it's Jen, she can come in.
I'm homeless looking. Are you guys recording?
Oh, hold on. I want to see what Jen looks like homeless. No. Oh my God. Is that really Jen Sturger? I don't know if you guys know who Jen Sturger is, but picture her homeless. That's what she looks like right now. And they just left. So what we were talking about was Austin has like the main club, and then there's a bunch of B rooms for the people not listening, like just more club. There's spots equivalent to that a lot in LA, and of course New York or Chicago, if you want to throw that in there as like the fourth. Okay. So yeah, Austin wouldn't be an option, but I would go through and think about stuff like that. And I was like, what's next for me? It's kind of the midlife crisis thing as I come to 40. I believe I'm a week away. I turned 40 in 1 week. So, and then I'm like, what do I really want? What's next? And I thought about New York a lot, but then you don't take into account winters, the scene, not having your core people there. Like I don't have anyone there. Like I know one friend from college, but he's in a different type of world. And I have two other college friends that are living there, but they live in Long Island or Jersey because they're now married with kids. Mostly everyone but went back to Florida, or I have a handful out here. And then I come back to the city and I'm like, what am I thinking? Like, why would I ever leave? Los Angeles has become, it's part of me now. You feel the same way.
Oh, I love LA.
I don't, I love LA, but it's not necessarily that it's like I feed off of it. Like when I get back and it's been a minute, I go, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be here.
Absolutely
My soul
agree.
is a part of this city. It would take so much for me to ever leave the city. And that would be years from now when I at a place of accomplishing so many more goals I have in mind. But like the way I live right now, I'm so content. And when I say the word content, some people like you can't ever get content, when they're talking about like the game or the hustle, if you're an athlete or whatever you're doing. It's not in that sense, but it's more about like I walk to the beach all the time. I like love that. And every time I see it, I'm just like, wow, this is so beautiful. Like I'm so lucky that I live this life. I love my place, especially that added plants, like I told you. Unbelievable game changer. I mean, plants in the house, and people warned me about this for years because I had fake plants because I wanted it to look pretty. But now having something to take care of, that is a genetic thing coming out of me. Like, oh, I should have a kid right now, but I don't. So I'm going to have plants.
Well,
so I'm taking care of these plants, and I'm teaching the plants things, and we're watching sports together.
You can always take the dog for a test drive.
I can't get a dog because I travel too much. A dog would come first. It would have to be.
I'm saying you can borrow my dog if you need.
Yeah, of course.
Short spurts.
But I would need a serious relationship, then a dog. And then, the plants would still be there, and then work stuff. And then eventually, the ultimate goal, maybe 65, 70 years old. We can tour wherever we want, and we get a spot down in South Florida, and we kind of work with the Miami Dolphins, but I still do stand up, maybe try to get into the GM aspect of things in football,
stand-up comedian and
GM for the Miami Dolphins. I'm the general manager, kind of just talking to the scouts, figuring out who we're going to come up and draft, looking at the salary cap, which I have a lot of experience. People are like, "How you have no experience?" I go, "I've played 30 years of Madden."
So are you in like McDaniel's pocket right now?
No.
Does he know who you are?
I don't think he has any idea who I am, unless it was forced upon him in a conversation and said, hey, this was a guy that was friends with this guy that one time did a show for the Dolphins. And then he'd be like, oh, but he
coach when you did the show?
Yeah, but we have never shaken hands and looked into each other's eyes. So for all I know, he has no idea.
If you shook his hands, do you think it would be instant bromance?
I could get a riff with him going for sure. I think he speaks comedy. So I think he's on that wavelength to where like right away, like I could I don't know what I would do, but whatever I did, he would know, oh, we're funny.
Okay.
Which you do that with some comics that you don't even know. You just know on social media, but then you meet him and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is what we're doing. This is how our thing's going to be.
Okay.
Like I met, there was a guy, we were doing a commercial shoot. I had never met him. I didn't even really know of him. We did a commercial. His name, Tommy Pope. You ever hear of him?
I've heard the name.
He's in Austin. I think he hangs with, he does funny sketches and stuff, and with Shane Gillis and those crew. We did a commercial with me and a couple other comedians, and it was funny. I just was like, oh, this is funny guy. Never knew him before that. There's another, I'm trying to think of other times that's happened, but like that situation has happened probably 35 times throughout my career, where it's a comic you don't know, you meet him and you're like, oh, we're being funny. This is silly. I like what you're doing.
So since last time when we were doing it, like you were in the middle of football season, we're coming up. We got OTAs just started.
Yep. Done. We're on vacation now until end of July.
Is Tua your quarterback?
This year he is, yeah.
Are you hoping for something new?
I mean, yeah, you could. Am I hoping for something new?
Yeah.
No, because he's going to start this season. So I'm hoping that he does so well that he is a long-term quarterback. We're going to sign him long-term just because of cap room and stuff. And probably, I think right now that the Dolphins are how someone who's knowledgeable about football and the Dolphins feel about Tua too. Because they haven't agreed on something yet. So right now there's a little bit of, there's no holdout because I don't think he can. I just think that you got to understand with the cap and Miami Dolphins and football, it's always going up. I think right now he's trying to be a top 5 paid wide quarterback right now because their argument is by next year, he'll be top 10 because of all the other guys who are going to get better contracts.
Yeah.
So that's their argument. And the argument is he should be paid around 12 to 15 mark. That's where he's a top 15 quarterback. So he should be paid in that chunk. But if you give him that chunk right now, they are right. You can't go here. We're going to give you the 12th highest contract in the NFL as a quarterback right now, because in 6 months that will go down to 20. So that's the argument of
Yeah.
my whole thing is not long-term, nothing guaranteed, maybe 3 years. Let's see what happens. It's not, crazy, but either way,
Because I'll say this.
he's got arguments, but there's two sides of the argument. Great season, stayed healthy, did that. He proved that point. Now this season, lost a bunch of weight, wants to extend plays, run a bit more. Can he stay healthy? And two, well, he did.
Okay.
He's also played more games than Joe Burrow. So what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's proven the point.
But here's what I'm saying is like Joe Burrow still got his guys to the Super Bowl after being like 2 years away from the number 1 pick.
Yeah, of course. But so we're not comparing the two.
So here I'm not gonna compare them. So what I'm saying is that like in years past, your hopium about the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I was silently laughing at you.
Why?
Because I was like, oh, they're not good. But
They were
I will
good.
say
They were
now,
good last year.
Now,
Yeah.
there's a chance.
Yeah. Well,
There's a good chance now, but I think the only question mark I have is Tua.
Sure. But I would agree.
Like if you had like even Justin Herbert in that position, I'd be like, oh, championship.
We would go undefeated.
Championship.
But if we had Brock Purdy, it'd be the same thing. So if Brock Purdy can get to a Super Bowl, Tua can. That's how I saw it. And I'm not going to compare apples and oranges, but you can't tell me Brock Purdy is Joe Burrow, Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, or Patrick Mahomes, right? Those are the elite six.
But here's the funny thing, because Brock Purdy, Iowa State, I saw him 5 years.
Okay.
Like every game, he was always hyped as like the next coming of Jesus because he just had all the intangibles.
Yeah.
But he just never put it together in college. Hits the program and he's like, oh, this is what I was made for. Same thing with Mahomes.
Kyle Shanahan. If Brock
Same
Purdy,
thing with Mahomes.
No,
Mahomes was trash in college.
No, he was not.
He never finished a game against Texas.
It doesn't listen.
Yes, he had a great
program,
arm, but he spent all his time on the injury.
Okay, I don't want to get too far into this because it's not a sports podcast. That's why I do a separate sports podcast. But everybody saw what Mahomes did. Like you're like this guy. It's kind of like Chase Daniels. Like you see like certain players. You're like, all right, this guy's an athlete with a good coach. Let's see what he can do. And now he's invented a style of play like Curry. So he's an influence. That was his thing. They're like, well, he throws too many sidearm balls. Does this? So people weren't sure that was going to translate to the NFL with Mahomes. We can't really talk about that because it's an anomaly. Okay, yes. Mahomes is an anomaly, but. 100%. Tua, Purdy, all these other guys, you can predict if they're good in a system, right? And I think the argument you could say, if you take Purdy and Tua outside of what they are with two genius offensive coaches, would they work in these other teams? If Tua or Purdy is on Tennessee, are they not good? It probably doesn't work. You know what I'm saying?
No,
whereas you have like Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar, Aaron Rodgers. Now it's thinning, right? You have maybe 7 guys. Doesn't matter what team they're on. It's going to be great. And then you have about 11 guys that are elite game managers. And then that's where you come in with Purdy, Cousins, Tua. Oh, I'm sorry. Josh Allen's up there with the elite. You know what I mean? So it's like he's there and you have a great offense, but can he win the big games? We have to find out.
Yeah. I will end sports with this. I'm excited to see Herbert with Harbaugh.
Yes, I think it's going to take a year.
I agree. Oh,
I think they missed the playoffs.
No, I agree.
I think the AFC so stacked. I think that there's 16 teams in the AFC.
I'm with you.
16 teams in the AFC. I would say 12 of them today, right now, 12 of the 16 teams in the AFC are going, we could win the Super Bowl. That's how good the AFC is. Whereas in the NFC, of the 16 teams, there's probably 8 that go, we could win the Super Bowl. So, the of the 12 of the 16, the 4 teams who are like, no, we're rebuilding, New England, probably Denver.
Oh, yeah.
And then probably not even Pittsburgh probably thinks they could win. And then probably maybe, no, the thing is Tennessee, Indianapolis, they think they can go to the playoffs. right now. Everyone does, for the
It's
most part.
wild to me.
It is wild, but they could because Indianapolis was one play away from making the playoffs last year with a
Yeah.
backup quarterback. So why would they not think that? You know what I mean? That's what's
Yeah.
great about the NFL. Sorry if you like what we were just doing. Check out the Mike Lenoci show. I do weekly podcasts. This last week's episode, we talked about the Stanley Cup, Florida Panthers. Am I a fair weather fan? Of course, because it's hockey.
I like that you admit that.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
What other fair weather fandoms do you?
I mean, college football. I mean,
So, wait, remind me. You root for FSU or Miami?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, I grew up a Miami fan.
Let's say they're both 8-0, and they're going into that end of the year battle.
Yeah,
and they've got to face each other.
I don't know. I think Miami.
You?
I think so. And
Okay.
I went to FSU. But bro, you got to understand, when I was at FSU, they were not good. And it was strictly, I was there not for an education, not because I loved the
Well, you
school.
had Bowden
I was
there, didn't you?
It was the end of it. It was
Yeah.
when they were it was the worst 5 years of his career.
Yeah.
So I went to FSU not because I loved FSU. Here's what happened. We graduate high school. I have one friend go to UF. I have two friends go to FSU of my best friends. I had a lot of friends go to FSU. A lot of friends go to UF, but one best friend, two kind of best friends, one other best friend went to Gulf Coast, one stayed home. And I said, I didn't get into any of the universities. I had to go to community college and transfer. I go, whoever can get a roommate and wants to room with me, that's where I'm going. And the FSU guy said, we'll get an apartment with you, the two. If the UF guy, he did the dorm, right? A lot of people do the dorm the first year. They're like, we're just going to do the dorm this summer. We'll get an apartment with you. Because I couldn't do dorm. And I was like, I guess I'm going to FSU. So there was no love before it. I grew up a UM fan all the way up to senior year of high school.
Yeah.
And then you want me to switch. You want me to switch. Yeah.
And they were also a powerhouse.
And they were a powerhouse when I was in high school. And I'm from South Florida. So you want me to all of a sudden love because I graduated from FSU after 5 years? I graduated from FSU because I fell into it.
Wait, you did 5 years of FSU, but you also had to do 2 years of
that was
college?
included in the 5 years.
Oh, okay.
I wish it wasn't.
Right.
Yeah. So what it comes down to is LA is the what?
I'm just checking.
Sometimes it looks like someone walked in or something. So why does it go off sometimes?
No, I'm just.
Did we fix that problem, Mark?
You were moving, so I was making sure you're still in the same frame. If I need to move
it's not on autofocus.
It's on autofocus, but you're moving laterally.
Did you guys miss this? You missed the bickering.
Yeah.
Would you adopt a child?
You missed it.
Would you adopt a child?
No, admit you missed the bickering.
I will not.
You're here, aren't you?
I said, you know what? I don't want to do a solo. I hadn't done one in a while. I was like, I'm not going to just talk to myself. It's fun to banter with someone.
Sure.
Would you adopt a child? And if so, would you adopt a Black or a Spanish or an Asian or Middle Eastern? Would you adopt like a
I would adopt a child. I don't think it really matters.
Hey, hold on.
No.
It doesn't matter. You're adopting. You don't care what it is?
I really don't.
You're fine with just a darker shade walking around in the house.
Yeah, why not?
Are you saying this because this is being recorded and you don't want to get in trouble?
No, actually, I really don't have a problem with it. Like,
yeah.
If it's the right child, it's the right child. Like,
Okay, what about this?
Here's what I really don't need.
A Moroccan?
I really don't need someone being like, oh, like he needs to look like me so people will not know he's adopted. I don't care.
No, I don't think people do that. But I would not adopt an Australian.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, we agree that there's no way. Oh, it's an Australian one? Do you have other ones?
Yeah. New Zealand, maybe.
Yeah, they have pretty eyes.
Yeah.
There's some good blonde hair there.
They're like not the criminals.
No, they're the ones who, they're the government of Australia.
Criminal ilk.
Yeah. Okay. So hopefully we'll get you to have some kids soon. What about psychedelics? Like, did you want to talk about those? Have you ever done any?
Man, I haven't done any psychedelics in over like 20 years.
Really? You don't think you and your wife should maybe do some like little mushroom trip?
I absolutely, yes. Like there's some
like
here somewhere.
Oh, but those are microdoses.
Yeah, but like My problem is like drink beer, smoke weed, like on a blue moon, and you know how the studio used to be
Yeah.
pretty
Oh.
smoke free now because
Thank God.
I don't
it
have any of the
sucks.
cannabis clients anymore,
Good.
and so now it's like I don't do well with the losing control. So like,
You don't lose control. Yeah.
but like if I'm drunk for like 6 hours, I'm like I don't want to fucking be drunk anymore.
Oh, interesting.
Like when you get to that edge of blackout, I'm like, this isn't
do
fun.
you, when you are drunk, are you like, where's my wife? I want to,
Isn't everybody?
I don't have a wife, so I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. If you were in a committed relationship, aren't you like, oh,
Where is she?
what?
Yeah. Where is she?
Oh, okay. I thought
Oh,
you said-
hold her down. Okay. Do you know who you are, Mark? This is going to be good, guys. Watch. Mark, do you know who you are?
I would say, yeah.
Okay. Watch this.
Oh boy.
Who are you?
Did you get this off of a Snapple cap?
I haven't had a Snapple since you've had mushrooms.
Who am I?
It's a very difficult question to answer.
That is a really difficult question to answer. I think I'm defined by what the people around perceive me.
That is a very smart answer because we are a product of how we think people perceive us, right?
Yeah.
But it's not who we are then, right? We're just kind of
Well, to some people,
to some people.
I'm an angry dictator.
I
And
don't
to-
think so.
In
You
the,
might
in the
think
sport
that.
world, yes.
Oh, because of your
Yeah.
dodgeball thing.
In
Ugh.
some worlds,
Sorry I had to
people
say
think
that.
like, oh, like he's great, like he's in it for comedians trying to help. And
Well, what
some
about it,
worlds
like-
oh, this is
So knowing that we all act in a way that we think we are perceived, right? That is one truth to who we are,
Yeah.
right? Another thing is we are a result of experiencing a bunch of different things throughout our lifetime that's
Mhm.
molded us, whether it's death, heartbreak, excitement, stuff like that, right?
sure.
But those are just the shells of what we are, right? Like really, if you can get to the core of who you are and come to peace with that and operate in that world, then use any of the sayings, the world is your oyster,
Yeah.
something like that. But that's the hardest part of really knowing that, really. Have you ever thought about anything like that?
No, of course.
When? Just now?
Oh no, I do all the time.
Why?
I always reflect and just see
You do?
like, yeah.
That's pretty good. I don't think a lot of people do that.
It's like every now and then you've got to like slow down. Like what's nice about having a dog now is I'm taking long nature walks. And it's like, oh, you
I'm
can
not
clear the
thinking that
mind.
much. Yeah. Yeah.
And you just like you can let time stand still and be like, what am I doing? What can I be doing better? What can I change?
Or what even matters?
Yeah.
What even matter? If they
If you
said,
want to get totally nihilistic, yeah.
if they're like, hey, you got 2 months left to live, you'd be like,
Cool.
at least I did it my way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that's powerful.
If
You're like,
someone was to ask me like, hey, like you have 2 months to live, I'd say with the exception of like having a kid, I've lived a pretty fucking full life.
yeah, I feel the same way. I think if someone was like, hey, if you have 2 months to live, would you change what you're doing? That's like a question you can ask yourself and start from there.
I don't think I would. I
don't think-
with the exception of like some bucket list things, it'd be like, yeah.
I wouldn't even do with the exception of
I'm
some
just gonna-
tedious stuff like even this stuff I would do because I'd be like, let me get out a bunch of stuff and I would schedule the post so they would keep coming out and I would be alive for like 7 more years.
Well, I mean, you want to get real deep. Like, remember, you're alive as long as you are remembered.
Yeah.
So the
that's
last
what's funny.
person that remembers you is when you die.
Wow. Well, that's close. That still shares your memory. But yes.
No, but that's what I'm saying is like where like say you're a famous person like George Carlin. George Carlin hasn't died because people still remember George Carlin.
Yes, I see what you're saying. So
and
like,
then like
so right
when
now,
the last person forgets,
yeah, Like eventually Michael Jackson will be forgotten.
Like in 1,000
point.
years.
Because there are like the rock star before Elvis, whoever that was. I don't know who they were.
Yeah.
Like I know who Elvis was. How much of my nephew's kids will really study Elvis or the Beatles? They might have been like even now, there's people who like, you never heard of what's his name? And I'm like, no. And that's crazy to them.
Yeah.
So it's already fake. And that person was
Yeah. You have to leave such a huge stamp on history.
just to live that long.
Again, you say George Washington. That's
forever.
that's forever.
Forever.
That's forever.
Lincoln's
as long as this
forever.
country,
All the
It'll be in
dictators
history
in the
books,
famous
yeah.
countries are Caesar, Hitler.
Yeah. So like
the British
how
prime minister guy.
much of a stamp do you want to leave so that like
we will never even know someone that will leave that type of stamp because we're not gonna know. We don't know a president. We don't know someone that's gonna be a president, and even that president's not like out before. I could go back to Nixon, and then I don't know who's before that really.
Yeah,
I could be pretty much do the 1900s.
Like, yeah. You get to like 1915 onwards. Like, yeah, we know those presidents. Couldn't do, and then you have the one island of Lincoln and Jackson, and then you have Washington.
Harding
You're like,
something,
okay,
yeah. But then even also like, there's just even famous actors that are already gone in people's memories that like people don't even know Sean Connery, Gene Hackman. These are our people.
Have you seen what Gene Hackman looks like right now?
He died.
Wait, he just died, didn't he?
No, he's dead, right?
No.
He's dead.
He's
if he's
not
still
dead.
alive, he should be dead.
Absolutely.
He should die.
I saw the photos like what he looks like now, and you're like, get out of here.
Gene Hackman's dead.
No, he's not.
He better be. I'll tell you that right now.
Not dead. 94 years old.
You gotta be effing kidding me, dude.
Not dead.
Oh, I did see a picture.
This photo.
Wow. Yeah, look here.
And you're like, who is that?
Me?
Who's that grandpa? And then you're like, wait, 20 years ago, he's just like,
how does
he go from that?
Well, I mean, bro, he's 94.
I know, but like, it's like that.
Are you kidding me?
It's that meme of like,
how is he's got to be number one on some people's death pools.
He went 0 to 100.
No, I mean, you got to think 20 years ago, that means he was 74. So he looked awesome.
He looked awesome at 74.
But he looks awesome for 94. He looks like 74-year-old.
Well, think about 20 years ago, like that's the Royal Tenenbaums.
By the way, 20 years ago, he's already fading out of acting.
Yeah.
He's really he's really 40 years ago, he's in his prime of acting. So that's what it was.
But like Royal Tenenbaums is only 20 years ago.
I don't even know what movie that is. So there you go. That's dead to me.
Wow.
That's a dead movie to me.
Gene Hackman is dead to you.
Gene Hackman might as well been dead to me.
Because you were adamant he was dead.
Yeah, I really was. And that's too bad because he was the best. He was the evil villain in Superman. How about that?
Oh, yeah.
The first
he
Superman
played Lex
movie.
Luthor, didn't he?
He played Lex Luthor. That's my first introduction to Gene Hackman.
And that's 40 years ago.
It's 40 years ago. That was what that movie came out probably before I was born. Yeah. Pretty crazy. So that means he was.
You want to feel better about
54.
yourself? So.
Wow.
I was going to say, if he was like in his 40s at that time, like, because this is the meme that's kind of going around right now is like people in their 30s, like 30 years ago, looked really old, and now people in their 30s look better. Yeah,
I see
like,
that. It is true. We are aging
40,
better.
I'm trying to remember my dad at 40, and
I
think I look way better than my dad.
I have a question about that. Why is it that we are aging better, yet they all say the food's way worse for us now?
Yeah, we're getting preserved, baby.
Is that what it is?
I'm just throwing it out.
Or it's just like we know we're healthier. We're healthier with lifestyles and stuff. The food might not be as good for you, but our lifestyle is healthier probably.
I would say we're taking multivitamins. We're putting on sunscreen. Like we're taking better care of ourselves. We're eating more plastic.
Yeah, it's weird. Like the world wants you to think that we're eating worse, but we're probably not.
Yeah. Meanwhile, that generation's all dying of cancer.
And we will too, probably.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Or maybe or something else will pop up.
We're gonna find like gigantic like white rings on the side of our face from cell phone cancer or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I
Or,
feel like
like,
it would have
imagine,
started to happen.
like, we all
we're
go-
20 years into cell phones. Something would have popped up.
I was gonna say in like 20 years we're all gonna be deaf because we liked AirPods.
Maybe,
Like, oh, should you have those in your ear?
that's something they could have studied by now, though, and be able to tell. Maybe, yeah. Who knows? There's another okay. So right now, before we recorded this podcast, in the other room, there was a comedy workshop. We're not gonna say names, right? There's a comedy
Sure.
workshop, and I think that's good. That can help, especially if you're younger and you're new. But one thing about comedy is that a helicopter outside
No, that's the air conditioning next door.
shaking the whole building?
Yeah,
And I would like to be in here when there's an earthquake.
I'd be fine being in here.
Yeah, I would be fine, but I would wanna really feel the
knowing
ride.
what's inside the walls. I'm like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah. So comedy is I came up with this analogy. Comedy is like space.
Okay.
It's infinite. And we
Agreed.
really don't know what we're talking about. We only know what we've learned through what's happened already. Does that make sense? Like, that's my perspective on it now. Like, anytime I am talking about comedy with maybe a younger comedian or anyone else, I go, before I start, take everything with a grain of salt. And I don't know if this is right or wrong. This is what I've seen and observed that has worked with other people or a particular person, and also what has worked for me, but also means that it doesn't necessarily work for you or it will work for anyone else. That is space. We know that this is that distance. This does this. This means that. But we always are learning and finding out new things every single day, week, month, year in comedy. And that's just a perspective to have when going into stand-up comedy.
Mhm.
Because there is no blueprint. There is no, if you do this plus this, it will equal this. There is no formula
absolutely.
or anything. There is, everybody kind of just moves with the energy. This is working, so we go towards it. Now you can also go this way and try something different and hope it hits, but the further you keep going in that direction and it keeps not working,
Yeah.
now you're into infinite of nothing. So you see something moving, comedy moves with it, but it's like this and it's expanding, and then something goes over here and starts working, and then it breaks off, and it's almost like a tree in a way. So that's just something of a way of thinking about stand-up. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely makes sense. Because
Yeah.
remember, I'm on the outside, so I see comedians and see how their styles are, and I'm seeing, like that guy is doing this, and that's similar to comedian X. That's working. Like all of a sudden, that person just got passed to the Comedy Store,
Yeah.
and okay, it's that and this. Yeah.
So like the
That makes
whole I mean, it's like comedy, it's the whole, actually even taking yourself outside of comedy and looking at the whole thing as a business, from comedy to the managers to the agents to the editors, like the whole business of it is crazy. And it's like, you would have never thought that's what you were getting into when you started it. When you started stand-up, you wanted to get into it because of whatever reason it is for you. It wasn't because of what it is. It's because you saw it and you're like, that looks fun. You saw the surface of a comedian. You thought that was funny. You watched a movie. You liked the way someone delivered a line in a show. You saw comedy and you're like, I want to make people laugh. You just wanted to make people laugh. You thought that would be fun. The actual part that you saw and the reason you got into stand-up is such a small percentage of what the business of stand-up comedy is. And that is fascinating.
And what you saw
Well, yes.
was the heart of it.
What you saw
Is
was
the soul.
Is the little heart
It's
and
the
soul.
soul.
It's the little.
It's the part that was the truth of that comedian, and then everything else is just people.
And it's all goes back to, who are you? What are you? Who are you? And all this outside stuff that you think you're perceived as doesn't even matter. You have to focus on what that little heart was and just operate that way and be happy with the outcome, because we all will die and not be remembered. Close your books, class. It's really all I had. And then I have this thing about being addicted to dating apps.
Which ones?
All of them.
All of them?
Mostly just dating apps in general. Doesn't have to be a specific one. But I think that that's a thing. Dating apps. And I could say, like, I'm someone who's like, oh, I don't have an addictive personality. And I think people use that a lot, right? An addictive personality is someone who gets addicted to everything, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be addictive personality?
Yeah.
But I think everybody has the possibility of becoming addicted to something.
I don't think it's possible to be a person
And
not have a single
thing that you're addicted to.
Like,
even if it's your routine of coffee.
for here was for a time surrounded by all the drugs I could care for. Just wasn't.
Oh, all these guys getting high and stuff in here?
Yeah, didn't have.
Yeah, but I mean, coffee, walks, running. You can be addicted to that. Not that it's bad, but like, not every addiction can be bad or
I
worse.
agree with you, but it's still, remember, everything at the base of addiction is dopamine. Like, is it supplying you with dopamine?
Dopamine. Here's the thing. I think dating apps
is your
no. I don't think necessarily for me.
Do you get dopamine from like doom scrolling, right?
No, that's not what the addiction comes to. I'll get deeper into it, but I think that there's an epidemic for sure. And I think that there's more single people than there ever has been in history in their 40s and 50s and even in the 30s. There is. I know that. And I also think it's easier and it's more like, if you were single in your late 30s or your 40s in 1990, don't do this. He said, don't do that. You can say it. We can just speak. There's no secrets.
If you're smacking the couch, it's going to tap in the mic.
Yeah, but we can talk about it. There's no secrets. We're not on a live set. We peel back the curtain
Anyways.
I'm not allowed to do this,
guys.
Guys.
Go back to...
So if you're single in the 30s and 40s and it's 1990, it's 1980, you're sitting at home in an apartment alone with no connection to anyone else. And for you to find that person that's like you, even if you're in New York or LA, you have to go to a bar or a club or someplace that these people are at.
Yeah.
And it was harder, but also made you
more personable.
One say settle? No, I don't think more personable. I think we are the most evolved we've ever been.
I would argue that people at that point were not allowed to be as picky. And you probably had to be like,
you had to settle.
This is who I am. But like, to be in a relationship, I probably have to be a little less.
Also, I have to.
Or a little more.
Or you were just like, this is compatible enough.
You were tuning the safe.
You're like, yes, this will work, right? I'm 38. The pressure. I'm scared to be alone.
And now there's no settling.
There is no settling for anyone. Women, men, anything. Especially now that women are now. Obviously, that wasn't as prevalent in the 80s and 90s as it was in the 60s and 50s, where women didn't work at all. Yeah. They were starting to work in the 80s. My mom was the breadwinner, and that was the 80s and 90s. But now, even more so, people don't have to depend on spouses for income. That's completely gone. There is no, oh man, we should get together because we're even more power. It's like everything is so independent. And for that reason, the fact that we don't have to be picky, we're like, there's always, the addiction is there's always a better option.
Something better. Yeah.
And it's so hard to get away from that I've come to the realization that, do I enjoy being single? Yes, 100%. I think you also get very good at it. You learn it. It's a game. It's stand-up comedy. Yeah. For me, it's stand-up comedy. The first apps started around 2014. It was Tinder.
No. So here's the thing, I will be opening myself up to roasting. So, I met my wife off eHarmony,
and that was on a desktop. Not an app.
It wasn't an app, but it was still it
was still fun.
It was pre-app form because there was
Yeah.
at that time there was Match and there was eHarmony.
Yes.
And that was like you go on the website and
You
it's
make a
still,
profile. It was like a Facebook thing.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember that. Yeah.
So still an app thing.
Yeah.
I cannot now. I remember going through the profiles that were on there,
Yeah.
and it was horrifying because, like, I went on so many terrible dates with like crazy
Because
teachers.
It was a weird thing.
And
It
they
was a
were
weird
all
place
teachers.
to be.
It was a weird place to
It
be.
wasn't accepted.
I couldn't imagine what it's like now.
It's the norm now.
I know it's
they
the
did
norm.
a number. They did a number. They said 95 something
But
like.
how toxic is it?
I don't know if toxic is the word. It's like this. 90% of the relationships now have met on apps. That's how crazy the number is now. Where it is 30 years ago, it was like 90% was met at a bar. It was something like that.
Yeah,
Someone
yeah,
showed
yeah.
us art that it within the last 5 years, it's like,
Oh,
like
yeah.
every single
Like if
relationship.
you could buy stock
yes.
in that, you'd
would
be a billionaire.
It was Bitcoin. If
Yeah.
you are not married or in a relationship already, if you were single in 2010 and you're not single anymore right now, 9 out of 10 of you met on an app. That's what the stat is. And it's crazy because that means that it worked for you for now, but I think even now it's going to be even less because it's not that it's toxic, that it's the fact that even if you match with someone, you're attracted to multiple people.
Oh,
That's a
yeah.
fact. Everybody married looks at other people. But the problem is, even when you go on a date and it's satisfying and you have fun and you go and you get laid or do whatever you have to, you still will go on the app just to see if maybe there's a chance that there's someone just a little extra more compatible for you.
Man.
And that part is crazy.
It is.
That's
That
crazy.
part doesn't even enter my mind. And the fact that you brought that up, I'm like, oh, well, like
Yes.
not having that enter my mind. Oh, I'm
If
so
you know
happy
it's
I don't
there.
have that.
I can go on a date and I can have one of the best dates. Like in my mind, I've probably said it throughout my podcast before, like some of the best dates I've ever had in LA. I could have one of those nights where it's one of the best dates ever and you'll still go, but let me look you can be, you know what?
But if I could
At
find
dinner,
her and she's a brunette.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you know what? Maybe I could find exactly what I had tonight, but she does eat sushi. Whatever. You can be so specific with how picky you want to be. And the fact that you can be that picky makes me think that we're going to evolve to a point where we are just building a robot that looks and does what we want it to do.
Oh, man.
That's going to be awesome.
It's
It's going to be awesome, dude. And I'm holding out for that. People are like, what are you waiting for?
Tesla girlfriend.
Tesla girlfriends. Oh, it's going to be awesome. And you where you have an AI system in their brain and they know what to say it, when to not talk to you, when you're irritated, if you're irritated, what to do or act around you. And they're just going to be a program. And women are going to have this too. It's going to be like a guy, you're like, you know what? He's too fit. Want him gaining 10 pounds. Comes back the next day, 10 pounds heavier. Like you are going to be able to have an AI Tesla partner in the next 20 years. Why would you not wait for that?
Ugh.
And you know what the best part about it will be? Tesla, whatever her name is,
Yeah.
or whatever her name is, sweetie, off. Honey, for you two ladies, honey, off. Closet off. Do any of you has a Roomba? Dock. Boop. Zzz, and you go, yep, bye-bye. And it won't even make the zzz sound. That's what we have coming. I guarantee it. All right. I think we did good here, man. That was a good episode. Good catch up. And, you guys do your job, like and subscribe. And, good to see everyone. We'll see you, who knows, soon. We'll do a dating episode soon. We'll do another date episode where I go through the profiles.